Hello, namaskar, and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Pavani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is 21st October. Dear friends, today is Sunday, so we don't get articles and editorials. We will go through important news items. But I have got a very important special topic for you guys, and it's about poverty assessment. Now, when we talk about poverty, we know that poverty is a thing that we are trying to get rid of for a very long period of time now. There are many things, good things have happened in recent past, but I believe there are few things. If we can focus on these few things, if we can make some necessary changes with the way we are executing things, then I think we can address this poverty issue in a much more proper way. So poverty assessments, right? When we talk about, or when we are conducting our poverty assessments, our main focus has always been on households, and we have never paid attention to the individual of that particular household or individuals living in that household. So what happens here is we are automatically, categorizing people as per their household's status, right? So if the status of a household is poor, then all the members of that house will be termed or will be classified under this poor category. And if it is non-poor house, then all of them will become non-poor. So this is a bit, it's not a proper way, because what happens is that it applies, or it puts a mask on this issue of poverty. And if we go through data of 2013, then we find that globally, female and male poverty rates defined as the share of women and men who live in poor households are very similar. This is not possible at all, right? But then as well, we find that these figures are more likely equal, 12.8 and 12.3. So there is, you can say, not at all any gap between poverty when it comes to men or poverty when it comes to women. So they both are equal, but reality is a bit different, because if we analyze these two regions, right, we have this sadly two regions, South Asia, in which our country falls, and then you have this Sub-Saharan African portion here. So both these regions are hub of, you can say, highest poverty rates are here. Largest number of poor people are living in these two regions, right? And the thing is, the reason why this particular item or this way of, focusing on households is not good is because, right, how can a father in a house and a child in a house, or a daughter-in-law, all of them are on equal platform? How can we consider them on a sort of equal platform? Because they are not, isn't it? Practically speaking, they are not. They are, of course, member of one family, but not all of them have equal powers. Like compare a father and a child, right? They don't have equal powers, right? Of course, father is more powerful compared to a small baby. So status of father for a small baby, yes, you can say that the child will be poor as well. But daughter-in-law, you have daughter-in-law, and then you have other members. So not all of them have same powers. So this design, as I told you, right, it basically masks these differences in individual poverty within a household. So a way out is possible. Yes, it is possible. Recently, the World Bank came out with this Poverty and Shared Prosperity 2018 report. And the methodology or the method that they have used here in this assessment or this report is they have gone for individual, right, rather than terming or labeling a particular house poor or non-poor. They have gone through the data of individual men and women, right, and then other members of a family. So based on that individual's capacity, they have came out with this figures, and this figures indicates that the power rate, beg your pardon, the poverty, there is a power difference between men and women, and this is one of the main reasons that the poverty rate of women aged 25 to 34 in Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia is on average 5.5 percentage points higher. That means women are more poor in these two regions compared to men. So that's a big difference here. And factors such as age of marriage, childbearing, the presence of young children in the household, and related likelihood of women leaving or not engaging in economic activities because of doing this household chores and things like that. So because of this thing, there can be gender gap in poverty rates. This could be one of the reason, this difference in power and difference in responsibility. So this is very, this makes it a bit more important that rather than just focusing on households, we should pay attention to this individuals. And it's going to be challenging, right? It's not easy to collect the data of this amount of people at an individual level, but today we have all those gadgets and computers and so many things are there, so we can use big data and other things, and then we can come to this conclusion. So we can do that thing as well, but it is very important if we want to get rid of this issue of poverty, then we have to target individuals rather than we have to assess individuals status rather than assessing the whole family. So if we do this thing, then we can support more effective targeting of social protection and broader development programs. We can customize programs based on individuals' need rather than a household's need. So that's everything in this a small yet very important topic. But before moving ahead, I would like to inform all of you that our pendrive and tablet courses are available for various different exams. To find out more about it, do check out StudyIQ.com. You can download the PDF of today's lecture from my FB page and Twitter handle. Now let's move on to important news items. We are going to go through a couple of important national, international news items. Then we have one science and tech sort of news item, and then we have some environmental news items as well. So this train incident, right, accident, in fact, Amritsar's train accident, it's very sad that 59 people have lost their lives and 59 are injured, and means our words cannot of course heal this pain through which these families are going through. But one thing is there, right, we were talking about it yesterday, right? Remember standard operating procedure. This is a thing, thinking about health and safety. If we are visiting a place, this is not something that is in our culture, but this is something that is very important. If we are visiting a place, say for example, then it is very important that we pay attention to some safety features, whether that place is safe or not. What about number of people visiting a particular place? May it be a temple or this sort of occasions. We have to think about it. If it is too crowded, then of course we should avoid, and we should also inform local administration. But rather than us informing, they should be proactive enough to make sure that everything is arranged properly, isn't it? Now, Minister of State for Railways Manoj Sinha has blamed the organizers of the Dussehra celebrations for the train accident, because generally, if you are organizing this sort of events, then you take permission from local administration. But in this case, no permission was taken, right, or given to these organizers, and this is a big fault, or this is a big thing, so they are blamed by this junior railway minister. But still we have to wait and watch, because magisterial inquiry is ordered. So in few weeks time, or hopefully in as soon as possible, we'll find some report on this thing, and based on this report, actions will be taken. Moving on to another item, it is about ASEM. ASEM stands for Asia Europe meeting, right? It is known as ASEM. Here you don't find S, but it is there, right? So Asia's AS and E for Europe. So that is ASEM, that is ASEM. From our country, Vice President Venkaiah Naidu attended this ASEM meeting. ASEM stands for Asia and European countries meeting each other. Some 51 head of states and government dignitaries visited this. 51 countries basically participated in this ASEM meeting. Vice President interacted with various different countries here, and he also interacted with this Indian diaspora living in Brussels. Brussels is basically in Belgium. So he interacted with all these Indian people living in Belgium, right? He also urged them that they need to protect and preserve the culture and heritage and customs of our country. At the same time, he also advised them that everything that they do should be in line with rules and regulation of Belgian government. They should, nothing that we celebrate or nothing that we do should be in, you can say, against this law. So this is something that he has advised our people. Of course, there is nothing wrong going on in Belgium. This is just an advice coming from Vice President. Then you have this good work he talked about. He talked about this contribution of Indians in the field of economics, in the field of trade, and the way they are doing or are flourishing in various different fields is something that is a matter of joy for our country. He was addressing Indian diaspora at Jain Cultural Center. Then India and Sri Lanka, nothing much, right? But this is just to draw your attention to this thing. We know that Ranil Wickremesinghe is here, and he interacted with our Prime Minister. We were talking about it yesterday. So no major deals, nothing. Hopefully tomorrow we'll find some more things on it. And in near future we can find some articles as well on this thing, because we have talked about ASEAN, we have talked about a bridge that is connecting this ASEAN and SAARC, that is BIMSTEC. And when it comes to SAARC, when it comes to BIMSTEC, Sri Lanka is a country. So our relationship with Sri Lanka and all those things were discussed by these two leaders when they met each other. Now we have this confirmation coming from Saudi Arabia. Finally, it has admitted that Jamal was killed inside its consulate in Istanbul. Now it is going to face some international, headwinds. People are not going to be happy with the way things have been executed by this, the things that are done by this Saudi Arabia as a country. Attorney General of Saudi has to say that basically the chat was going on. This Jamal was chatting with some people, and later on a heated argument took place, and finally a fist fight. And this is the reason that is been given by Attorney General, or you can say advocate of government of Saudi Arabia. Right, but we don't know what's the reality. Let's wait and watch. We should not conduct media trial or trial by ourselves. Let's wait and watch for some more information. Now NCCR stands for this National Center for Coastal Research. If you remember, back in 2015 there was a big flood, right? It was unprecedented, and sudden floods paralyzed this whole city of Chennai, and things were very bad. So much amount, people as well were in great pain. At the same time, we lost a huge amount of properties as well. So to get rid of this sort of situation, finally NCCR, with the principal scientific advisor to Government of India, research institutions, chief among the this IITs and other Chennai and other IITs were roped in, and they have worked on this sea flows. They have introduced this sea flows. Sea flows stands for Chennai Flood Warning System, right? This is how you flow, right? And then you have this in small letter O and D. So sea flows is basically an early warning system, and it will go through this topography. All this data is collected and it is fed in this system. So it will give you a proper assessment. So before 10 days, 12 days, before a week, we can predict how things can turn out if rain takes place, if this much amount of rain takes place in Chennai, say for example after 10 days or after 5 days. So it's going to be immensely helpful with this northeast monsoon, that is northeast rainfalls that are just around the corner when it comes to Tamil Nadu, and they are also known as winter rainfall, right? Now all this data is collected, as I told you, and the thing is it is not just for Chennai. Once it becomes successful here, then it will be implemented in other parts, other metro cities as well. So native shade, and one more thing, right? This is the most important line here, that the flood itself cannot be avoided, but it can be managed and the disaster can be mitigated. Now the native shade trees, right, better for carbon storage. The thing is, if we go in the southern part of our country, particularly Karnataka, then what we find is that this Kodagu's coffee farmers, right, they have removed these native trees and they have planted this exotic silver oak. and this exotic silver oak helps their coffee plant. It provides them a sort of this coffee crop or plants are protected by this exotic silver oak. So the shade of this exotic is used by farmers, right, to produce their coffees, or to make sure that this plant reaches its maximum potential. But research was conducted on this thing, and now a very interesting thing is been reported by scientists, that because these native trees are removed by farmers and they are implanting this silver oak, it is negatively impacting this carbon stock and diversity, because when it comes to carbon sequestration, right, this oak tree is not that beneficial, right. It is not that beneficial, and it is also destroying our tree diversity in this region. So this is a bad thing that is going on. Now we have a news item: international World Heritage sites are under threat by climate change. This is coming out by this, it was published by this journal called Nature. And UNESCO World Heritage sites, particularly in Mediterranean region, like we have this Venice, Leaning Tower of Pisa, Medieval City of Rhodes, and there are other places as well. This Venice and its lagoons, and Ferrara and city of Renaissance and other places are going to face a huge amount of challenges, particularly all those portion that is in northern Adriatic Sea, because of this extreme sea level rising up, as well as frequent high storms and storm surges. All these things are eroding the quality here of all these items. Then we have this update. Last week we were talking about this, remember this Bepi Colombo spacecraft, and it is launched now, so the journey begins, right. 7 years to go, and it got its name from this Giuseppe Bepi Colombo. That's last item of the day, dear friends. China is going to launch man-made or artificial moon high up in the sky to lower electricity costs by 2020. And this moon will illuminate, city area. It can illuminate 50 square kilometers of area, and it will replace street lights if things are successful. So it's a one-off expense, but after that you can reap benefits of this artificial moon for a very long period of time. Now that's everything in today's discussion, dear friends. We will meet tomorrow. Till then, enjoy your studies. God bless you all. Jai Hind, and make sure you do share this lecture with other students. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.